Hello, welcome to the Clandestine podcast. It's me, Gabriel.
Hello, this is Olivia.
So happy you're all tuning in to listen to our true crime stories. Getting a lot of Instagram followers, which is really cool.
You've got a great late night radio voice going right now.
Welcome to the late night show. Maybe that's what I should do for a profession.
You should.
So, I got a story for you today, Olivia, and everyone listening.
Yep. It's Gabe's second story of the week.
Yep. Next week it'll be Olivia bringing the stories. I can't wait to see what she's got. She always does them to perfection.
Thanks.
So that's exciting.
I'm working really, really hard on one of them. At least I'm work hard on both, but
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of in-depth research for one.
Cool. Right on. Well, without further ado, actually I did kind of want to give some preface to why I picked this story. I was looking, trying to find something that caught my eye, and this story, this individual is based out of Arizona.
Oh.
As you know, I used to live there, so I started reading into it, and it was just a wild story, and I was like, I gotta pick it. I like when I do the research on something and I'm really getting into it. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah, that's how I feel with the one that I'm doing right now.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'm working on.
I can't wait. Well, let's get this show started. So today, I've got the story of a man named Robert William Fisher. Who is he? Well,
I don't know him.
I don't know
Never
in
met
person.
him.
Never met the guy. I don't know if I want to
Right.
after what I read.
Yeah. If we're talking about him on this show, probably don't want to meet him.
Yeah. Like I said, this is a story of a man, Robert William Fisher. He was born April 13th, 1961. He grew up a pretty average childhood. His parents, William Fisher, was a banker, and Jan Howell, his mother, was essentially just a stay-at-home mom. His dad worked. He had two sisters. But the tragedy, from at least what I thought in his life, had to have been when he was 15 and his parents separated. And according to friends and family that were interviewed after all this, said that
You said when he was 15?
when he was 15,
Okay.
correct? Yeah, it was a messy divorce as well. It wasn't, I don't think it was reciprocated on both sides. I think the mother wanted to leave the father. Family and friends of that of the Fisher family said that it had long-lasting effects on Robert. Like, he really took it to heart. He looked up to his dad a lot. Robert Fisher was like a outdoorsman, kind of like growing up. That stuff he did. And he looked at his dad as his role model in his life, and that happened. And it.
Did you say that he's a junior?
Yes,
Okay.
he is junior. Yeah,
Okay.
because I don't know if he's actually a junior. He does have his middle name William. His father's name is William, but it doesn't show up as junior on his
Okay.
actual name. So, messy divorce, especially. I mean, that does have long-lasting effects on children, especially.
It can, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't always. Some people
Yeah.
understand it better, but that childhood trauma really can go a long way.
I feel like it's more traumatic, on average, of course, the older you are when it happens.
You think so? More traumatic as you're older.
Well, yeah, because if your parents get divorced when you're 5 versus 15, it's like, well, you only have a few years of memories of how it used to be,
That's actually a pretty good point.
Like, you get kind of acclimated to this new way of life.
Yeah, and so I mean, even being like an adult, if your parents split up, that would probably be
Yeah.
really upsetting.
Yeah, well, at that point, it's like, if you're an adult and your parents split up, then it's like,
Yeah,
it's like, what's the straw that broke the camel's back? Must have been kind of unhappy situation for a while.
that's got to be hard for anyone to realize, especially person of interest here, Robert Fisher. Like I said, the divorce, it was very upsetting for him. But life went on as it does. He finished school, and he actually enlisted in the U.S. Navy to become a Navy SEAL, but he failed at that. That doesn't mean that he was an unsuccessful person by any means. He had many career paths. He was a catheter tech, which I'm just saying, I don't know why
Not
you
a
would pick
job for
that.
everyone.
Not a job for everybody. He was a respiratory therapist and a firefighter.
Is this another Angel of Death?
No, this is not.
Oh.
I will spoiler, not an angel of death. I didn't want to do it twice in a row.
I didn't know if you were going for like a theme. Or
Oh
something.
no! I will say you'll think back to this towards the end that the firefighter job was ironic.
Okay.
So
So that's important to remember.
Not. It's just, I think it's just a funny detail rather than
Okay.
it having importance to the story. Growing up, he did a lot of outdoor things with his father, and that carried on into his adult life. He loved to hunt, camping, fishing, all that good stuff. So in about the summer of 1987, in the hot Arizona heat, which, let me tell you,
Was this the same area that you lived in? Or no?
no, this was not the same area I lived in. This was in Payson, Arizona, which was like 45 minutes from where I lived. Payson. Which actually there's like woods up there and stuff. It's not really even... There is parts of it that's a desert.
Oh, okay.
He ended up marrying Mary Cooper in 1987. Their marriage, I will say, I think that it's kind of sad, really. I think that Robert Fisher wanted to have a good marriage with this woman, Mary Cooper, because we go back, that divorce really carried on later in his life, and he didn't want that for his family. You know, so he was happy to be with this woman.
Did he have any kids?
Yes, they had 2 children. They had Bobby Jr. and Brittany.
Oh, okay, so he's not a junior, but he has a junior.
Yeah, I will say, though, not only from his family, but his wife's family, after, you know, all the investigation and interviewing people, would say that he was a control freak.
Okay.
And to segue into these examples of his controlling nature, like I said, he had 2 kids, Bobby Jr. and Brittany. He really wanted his son to be the outdoorsman that he was. But
Yeah,
you
you
can
can't force your kids.
You can't force your kids to do things they don't want to do. They can try it, but that doesn't mean they have to like it. And as you can guess, his son was not for the outdoors things. You know, he didn't want to go camping or hunting. He didn't want to do things like that.
Wanted to play piano and chess.
Yeah, maybe he was more on the artsy side or whatever it may have been. Parenting wasn't the greatest because of that, because that controlling part of him would cause him to get angry. While they were out trying to get his kids acclimated to the outdoors and teaching them the ropes, they were on a boat, and his friend was with them, and he threw his 2 children off the boat they were on into the lake to, quote-unquote, teach them how to swim.
Oh, gosh.
He wanted them to learn how to swim so bad, but they were uncomfortable getting in the lake. So, friend Sandy Gillespie, they interviewed him, and he told this story after they were like flailing in the water and stuff. His friend pulled the kids out.
Yeah.
And he was like, I guess Robert Fisher was like, well, that'll teach you a lesson. Like, that's so dangerous. Like, whatever, you never know.
Yeah.
Throw your kid in the water and they're not ready to swim, and he didn't grab them out. This guy grabbed them.
It
grabbed
shows
his
that
children.
kind of recklessness that a lot of these killers seem to have.
Yeah, because
obviously disregard for human life too.
Right. I mean, it's one thing if like your kids know how to swim and like you're just being a funny dad and like push your kid in the water.
Even then, it's like, what?
I don't know, but still, it's like you don't throw your kids in the water to teach them how to swim.
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't be that bad if they knew how to swim, but it's still something that would be like.
Yeah, not the greatest idea. Despite all of that, having that controlling nature, trying to like have his kids be interested in things that he is, have them follow his path, he was very adamant on the image of himself being a family man. He was very cocky. There was no wrong that Robert Fisher could do in his eyes.
Yeah.
As a lot of the times it tends to be that way. You know, after reading this stuff, I start thinking, you know, there's probably a lot more going on with this guy than meets the eye. And his family probably thought that as well.
Yeah.
Just from his behavior. His mother and members of his wife's family said that he feared socializing so much that he just didn't want to get close to anybody. I'm not saying this because, like, obviously I'm not able to diagnose people, but at least from, like, what I do at work and, like, certain clients that have came through there, like, have had borderline personality disorder. Because he was loving and stuff, but that, like, controlling, like, flipped the script real quick.
Yeah.
And then his whole not wanting to get close to people, it's just, it seems like maybe that's what was going on with him. I'm not saying that for sure, but, you know.
Yeah, we're just speculating on what could be going on. If anybody watches Dr. Grande on YouTube, he always goes, just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody I talk about in this video, just speculating on what could be going on in situations like this. So that's what we're doing. So you think that he might have BPD or BPD, what's the word? Symptoms?
Yeah, because I mean, that's the whole, what is that called? I hate you, don't leave me.
Yeah.
Like, and that sounds exactly like what his situation is. But I can't say that for sure. That's just, at least from me reading it, that's what it sounds like. If anything, too, maybe there was, like, immense pressure on him he tried so hard to be a good father that any like moment of failure.
He tried so hard, you think?
No, I think from reading about like his interactions with children, like his children. Yeah, he was a little like controlling, but he still like took them to do things and like spent quality time with them.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I feel like maybe any kind of like minute failure with him was like, I'm like my dad, like I'm ruining my family, like how pretty much I think he was so afraid to become what he resented.
Yeah.
He didn't want that stain on him of being divorced. Just kind of elaborate more on his behaviors. Like I said, he was an outdoorsman. He loved to be outside, loved to hunt, fish, camp.
He was a firefighter at one point.
He was a firefighter at one point. Yeah, he was an active guy. He loved the thrill of the hunt, but maybe a little too much. Oh. Right. Friends that went camping and hunting with Robert Fisher, when they were interviewed after everything had happened with him, they gave detailed reports of his bizarre behavior during these trips. Once they were hunting, he killed an elk, he slit its throat, and then smeared the blood all over his face and like his body. Okay, like there's one thing, if you love to hunt, awesome, that's your thing. But to like do something like that.
Well, I'm gonna kind of defend this for a second, just because I can see how perhaps if there was like alcohol involved, if he was trying to like
be
get
crazy.
a laugh, yeah, something like that. Not saying that it's something I would do or something I would want somebody that I'm with or around doing. I would not find it funny or cute or amusing, but I'm just saying maybe that was. Like, maybe it's not as sinister as we think.
Right, and that makes sense, too, because you're right, like, who knows what they're probably having some beers.
But again, I do want to stress that is very gross to me, and I don't like that he did that at all.
Yeah, it's just, because, if you're someone who, like...
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for real. Like, if I can just play devil's advocate for a second.
Something else that he also did, he thought it was funny to sneak up behind a family having a picnic and emptied his gun into the air. Like, boom, 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 boom. For me, there's certainly like a line that separates fun and like
beyond
being just
that is a giant
outrageous.
Like pole vault over that line.
Like the elk blood, a little crazy, but to like go up, sneak up on a family and just like boom, 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 boom.
Especially a family you don't know.
Yeah, and that's that you just don't do that.
Can't devil's advocate that one.
No,
that one.
That I don't think that'll work there.
Yeah,
you could try, but no promises.
No, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
So all the while he's trying to be a father, trying to be a husband, his marriage is failing. It's not working out for Robert and Mary.
Aww.
Things are just not working out. He's trying, and maybe she's trying, but he did make a plan to fix his marriage.
Okay. Tell me the plan.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. The hell of a plan, really. In 1998, they started marriage counseling. Good move. There's nothing wrong with that. I think people should. That's a great thing if people really want their marriage to work. But what's not a good idea, about 2 years into this marriage counseling, Robert decided to have an affair with a prostitute that he met in a massage parlor.
Okay, like, all right.
There you go, Robert. That'll save your marriage, without a doubt.
A good choice.
He was worried that his wife was going to find out because he ended up getting a UTI, and he was sick for a couple weeks from that UTI. This was after, because she did end up finding out that he had cheated on her. Neighbors, because they lived in a small development in Payson, and neighbors reported hearing just screaming, arguing coming from the house. But that screaming and arguing, most of the time, they only heard that coming from Mary. It was never Robert yelling, which is odd, I thought. The neighbors reported that, she was degrading him, saying he's worthless. She could have had a better husband and a better family. And ultimately screaming, we need to get a divorce. Like, this isn't working.
I can't hate on her for it,
No, if
is she saying the nicest things in the heat of the argument? Probably not. But at the same time, I would not be very excited about the idea of my husband that I'm already having a difficult marriage with, cheating on me with a sex worker.
Yeah.
That's the proper term, is sex worker.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, that's just, how can you blame her at this point?
Which, also, I just want to say this, her profession doesn't matter. We're not judging the sex worker for her profession.
Do what you
it's
do.
just the fact that he was cheating on her.
Yeah. So, and all those reports, Those were just from, neighbors saying this is what they overheard. But we're at this point now. I've explained so much about this guy's life, so it's like, why are we talking about
Yeah.
him? What did he do that
know.
was so heinous to
Warrant this discussion.
right? I'll give a little insight into that personality and behavior of Robert Fisher, into why he chose to commit triple homicide and arson to his own family. Oh yeah. So this was sunset in Arizona. Beautiful out there as always. It's April, right around spring.
Yeah, not too hot.
It's a warm night.
Yep.
It's nice out. It's around 10 p.m. Neighbors reported hearing, once again, another explosive argument coming from the Fisher's house. Something clearly happened that night to really set Robert Fisher off to do what he's about to do. What was it? Was it the pressure of this impending divorce that was going to happen with his wife? Fear of his son, Bobby Jr., growing up to experience the same pain that he did when his parents separated? I guess we can't really say what set him off that night specifically, but we've got an idea. You can always theorize these malicious acts.
Yeah.
From police and coroner reports, Robert had shot his wife, Mary, in the back of the head and slashed his children's throats.
Why? Oh, why? That's so
Exactly.
personal.
Why would someone commit, such heinous crimes like this?
I would love to hear his story about what happened, because that's such a personal way to kill your own children, and then
To execute your wife.
yeah, it's almost like sparing her that pain of like knowing that her husband is killing her, but at the same time, in his mind, she is the reason why everything's going to the left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's the other half of this marriage that's failing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he would, not that he should, obviously, but from a criminal's mind, it's interesting that he would punish the children by killing them in such a painful, like, slow death.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so interesting.
I mean, it is.
Just that alone is so loaded.
No, the way you just described that was really thought-provoking, because, yeah, it's like, what the hell? Without police investigations and reports, they say that these murders most likely took place after that argument at 10 p.m. that April night.
Okay.
They say this because there was security footage from an ATM that caught Robert Fisher in Mary's Toyota 4Runner, and he was at the ATM and withdrew $280, and this money was for his escape plan.
Okay.
Now, that's not a lot of money for an escape plan,
No,
but keep in mind, Robert Fisher's an outdoorsman,
Ooh.
so around 8:30 in the morning.
Can I stop you real
Yeah.
quick? I just want to say this story is very interesting. I'm
Yeah.
very you have me on the edge of my seat right now.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm really glad. That's how I felt reading it too. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, like I said, it's about 10 hours after this initial explosive argument they had. It's 8:30 in the morning. Arizona sun stretched across the sky. It's beautiful out, and the Fisher's house exploded.
Okay.
It rattled. The explosion was so intense that it rattled all the neighbors' houses in about a half mile in all directions. I mean, this wasn't
Okay.
just a house caught on fire. No, this house exploded. It was
He
engulfed.
set a bomb almost.
Essentially, yeah. They, the firefighters were saying that the flames were 20 feet high, engulfing this. It was bad. Firefighters luckily were able to get there on time, and it really didn't even spread any farther than their house.
Good.
During that, though, neighbors and the firefighters that were outside when this was happening reported that there were a series of smaller explosions from inside the house that sounded like gunshots. When they went in there, search and everything, they found a bunch of bullets inside of paint cans. So I think what he was doing is trying to be okay, I burned my house down and committed suicide and killed my family.
Oh, hoping that.
Because he had guns, he was a hunter, and
Yeah.
he was like, well, if everything's going to be burnt, how are they going to know?
Yeah.
Now here's the irony. It's
His hope was that the house was going to burn to the ground.
Right,
And there would
he's
little to no
free to go.
remains. Yeah.
Now that irony I said in the beginning, it's he was a firefighter.
Yeah.
You think he would know that's not how that works, because clearly they found the bodies in the house.
Well, I don't know anything about firefighting or starting fires and
Yeah.
arson, but there have been cases where if it gets to that point where
Yes, it can completely incinerate. Like I said though, that fire department,
Yeah.
everyone in a half-mile radius felt that rattle.
yeah.
So they got there quick, and
Yeah,
that's
didn't
why.
quite think of that.
So yeah, they were reporting, the gunshots in there, but it was actually the bullets just going off in paint cans. As they're investigating the house, they found that the gas line from the furnace inside the house had actually been detached. After he executes his family, now gas is filling up the house. He takes just a regular, I don't know just a regular candle, like a long stemmed candle, and he lit it and left the house. Now, he did this because, like I said, his survival outdoorsman background, he knew that candle would burn for 10 hours. So he knew he had from when he lit that candle until 10 hours later to flee. Lunatic. But obviously nobody was none of the police or investigators were fooled by Robert's attempt to cover this up. I thought it was funny that now this guy that loves to hunt and all that, now he's the one being hunted by the police. It's
some poetic justice a little bit.
I seriously.
I don't know if I use that phrase right, but
possibly. Great movie. They weren't fooled by this. They knew what was going on. The last physical evidence of Robert they found was in April, towards the end of the month. I think it was 2 weeks later. They found the Toyota 4Runner that was Mary's and the family dog. The dog was alive.
Oh, okay.
But it's how it kills his family, but he's well, I'm going to take my house. I can't.
Sorry, just to clarify, they found the car and the dog, the dog in the car, or the dog nearby? Okay.
Yeah, the dog was in the car.
Were the windows rolled down?
That I don't know. I wasn't able to get that information, sadly. The dog's name was Blue.
But he's okay. He's alive. Well, he might be dead by now.
Who knows?
A while
this
ago,
was
but
2000.
But he didn't die as a result.
He didn't die as a result of this. Yes.
My gosh! Did one of the police officers adopt him?
There's actually that's my story. 2 weekends from now is about. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that happens sometimes.
It does.
There's really brutal crimes that a dog or a cat is involved in. A lot of times the lead investigator will take it.
God.
And that makes my heart melt.
I gotta step away for a second. No. They found his car and everything by Tonto National Forest. This is near Payson. It's a very heavily wooded area. Arizona does have forest and mountains and snow. You got to go a little more up north for that. Here's the thing, though. Police in this area, the Tonto National Forest is huge. There's caves everywhere.
Yeah.
And the police are obviously, as part of their training, you have to have good geographic understanding of the area around them. Now, there's about over a dozen caves in the radius they were searching. They searched one cave.
What?
Yes. In the police report, they had only searched one cave. Who you're looking for.
Yeah.
You did your work. Why would you not go in these caves looking for this guy? That's probably where they only looked in one cave out of dozens that were around them. Because they were oh, well, he'll just die from a lack of oxygen or getting stuck in the cave. This guy is a skilled outdoorsman. No, he is not going to get caught in a cave.
Also, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, the setting, but if he were to hide into one of the caves while they're searching the other cave, who's to say that he isn't just going to hide and then leave,
Exactly.
Steal a car and just, ride off into the distance.
It was just very, very bad work on their part.
That's so disappointing.
Right? Also, where Robert's car was found, like I said, this was by Tonto National Forest was surrounding him.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, actually.
Really?
It's really pretty to drive through. That was the wilderness surrounding where his car was. But where his car was found was less than a mile from the Fort Apache Indian Reservation. And the police never checked there. This is a big reservation. And you can go there. They didn't think to check that either.
Did he have any Native American ancestry?
No, but not to my knowledge. It wasn't apparent. Still, it's you would think to go there. That is the closest civil.
Well,
everything around him he's in the woods.
Yeah.
He's in a heavily wooded area, and less than a mile away is a reservation that he can go to.
Well, reservations are hard because Gabe does have some Native American ancestry, but yeah. I don't have any. So we don't know a whole lot about reservations. I love...
And you're right, because I honestly, I really don't either. It's I would imagine he could go there, but I could be wrong.
I love learning about them. I try to learn as much about Native people's cultures in general. And I think that there is a huge problem with alcoholism, mental health, just violent crimes in general in the Native American population as a result of generational trauma and whatnot. So I'm just prefacing this to say that I'm not extremely educated on it, but I am a little bit.
Yeah.
And there is a problem with the murdered Native American women. There's a huge amount of...
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't know that.
I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but
yeah.
I don't have the statistics off the top of my head, but it's something... The statistics are something wild compared to the statistics of, like, any other demographic.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, in my opinion, is due to these reservations having, like, not as many resources for their police departments, because on the reservations they have their own police, their own little systems there. So I don't know if they would even be able to search the reservation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they weren't.
Yeah.
I just
or maybe
from how they worded it, they just said, I feel like they would be able to, like, they probably,
I mean,
at least police.
Yes, probably. But I'm just saying that that's a possibility, potentially.
Yeah.
I'm kind of talking out of my ass a little bit, but like I said, I know a little bit, but not a lot about that.
After they searched the Payson Woods and stuff, they were still searching, but it wasn't until about 2 months after that, in July, Robert Fisher was issued a state warrant arrest for 3 counts of first-degree murder, count of arson, and he was also charged with 1 count of unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. A year following that, Robert Fisher was added to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list, and to this day, he is still on there.
No way.
Yes, he's on there. They're still looking for him. Pretty crazy stuff, Just some, like, follow-up things about this. They still search. There's still, obviously, this guy's on FBI's top 10 most wanted.
Yeah, he was the second one that came up on the website.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
which I don't think that the top 10 is, like, ranked by, like, number one most dangerous.
Who's the most badass? Yeah, like, no, it's not.
But yeah, he's on there. That's crazy. I've never heard of this guy. Never.
Neither have I. And I saw he was from Arizona. I was like, oh, I'll check this out. And here's some weird stuff that's happened though since.
Ooh, has there been sightings?
Well.
Ooh, tell me.
I'm gonna tell you. Years after he went on the run, he went missing. Neighbors that lived in that old neighborhood that he used to live in, these people, he was friends with his neighbors, stuff like that. Like they knew each other. It was a close-knit neighborhood and stuff. This is years after they claimed to see this man, like, kind of, like, slowly, like, just kind of taking a drive through the neighborhood that had, like, a striking resemblance to him. Is this neighbor's, like, paranoia that, oh my gosh, like, anyone that remotely resembles him? Nothing was ever followed up with that, but still, like, you never know, like,
Yeah, why didn't they follow up on that?
I don't know. They did. I don't know if they, like, didn't believe or what it might have been, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they did see him. And like they say, people revisit the crime scene.
They do. Yeah.
They revisit the crime scene, and he
could be anywhere though.
Yes, he could. And that'll get to as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because maybe if he figures out a way to, like, get to Mexico or, like, get into the wilderness up in Canada.
Oh,
it's like
he's good to go. He'll
Which, I mean, he could be anywhere in the world, but I'm thinking, like, places that would be easier.
Yeah, for him to survive in and stuff.
Well, that he wouldn't have to take a plane to get to.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true. There was a man in Vancouver.
Ooh,
oddly enough.
I don't know about this case.
So this guy in Vancouver was stopped by the police. At the time, I would imagine early on in, like, the 2000s, this is probably something people were like, oh my gosh, like, this guy.
Right.
Maybe that's why we haven't heard of it, because it's been so long. I don't know. But this guy that they arrested in Vancouver, same thing, had the same missing tooth. Not only did he have the same missing tooth.
Wait a second, you said that they arrested him?
It was for something else, but they couldn't verify this guy's identity.
But wouldn't they have to take his DNA?
We're getting there.
Okay,
We're getting there.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's all right.
I'm getting a little too.
Well, the biggest thing was how he looked. He had the same missing tooth, and he also had a surgical scar on his back in the same spot that Robert Fisher did.
Okay.
And they were convinced. They thought, they were like, oh my gosh, like we
Yeah,
got him.
yeah.
But
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
we got him.
Have you seen that meme?
Yeah. But sadly, the fingerprints did not match, and a relative of this guy came and verified his identity.
What?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So
What if it
weird.
was all like some crazy?
And that, I looked up more information on that because I'm like, it was so brief. It just said, oh, someone came, fingerprints didn't match. What if this guy knows that? What if he, like, I mean, I feel like you could alter your fingerprints. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
the
not.
only thing that you can do is, it is possible to like burn them off a little bit, but you can't. I mean, if he didn't have any fingerprints, then they would be like, oh well.
Right.
I think you can like go to jail just for that.
Yeah,
But,
doing stuff with your fingerprints.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if the fingerprints don't match, they don't match, but that's so crazy.
Oh, since this has happened in 2001, there's been lots of tips over the years, like maybe this is him. I mean, no one can really say where this guy ended up. Investigators are like, oh, he probably committed suicide. Like he's a cocky guy, like he's arrogant, but he's a loner, and like he's living with like this guilt of like killing his family. Some people think he committed suicide. Some people think he's still out there.
Yeah.
I gotta say, after all this, I think he's still out there. Some detectives, they think that he's still in Payson, Arizona, in the woods, just surviving. Other people think he's in Florida or New Mexico because he has ties between the two states. I think they said it was through work and just like people that he knew. One last thing, I thought this was a really powerful statement that a detective made about Robert Fisher. He said, "Maybe this is the best we have, knowing what he did and never finding him again." Of course that is right, but who knows? He could still be, if he's able to kill people, if he possesses that ability to kill people, who's to say he hasn't killed since?
Yeah.
So, Robert Fisher, I'm going to say,
We gotta find him, guys.
we got to find him. We got to start a huge group, get some radios, and go find Robert Fisher. No,
I
I'm
mean,
just kidding.
he needs to be brought to justice,
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I would love for that to happen, but at the same time, it's just like,
So you do think that he's out there somewhere to this day?
I don't think so.
I wonder if... Yeah.
Because he has to be like 50. How old would he be now?
Who does he look like?
He'd be 60 now.
He kind of looks like Nigel Barker from America's Next Top Model. He could play him in the movie.
Let me see it. Nigel Barker.
Noted fashion photographer.
Oh my gosh, you're
Oh
gonna
my god,
go
maybe
this.
it's him.
Did Nigel Barker, or did Robert Fisher become Nigel Barker?
Maybe,
Some,
he's British.
Whoa,
Don't they look alike? Wow, they do kind of.
you might be onto something. We're gonna have Nigel Barker on the next episode explaining himself. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the story.
Yes, that was great, Gabe.
Thanks.
You did great work. And Gabe was a little going back and forth, I guess. Well, he was thinking about doing a different case, one that I do know, and he was like, "You have to help me with the research." And I was like, "No, I don't want to."
And I'm glad she pushed me and had me do it myself.
Because I was like, even though the other case that he was going to do, and I don't know if maybe you'll do it again in the future, so I won't say what it was, but
yeah.
It's like, even though I know that case, I was like, I like you telling it to me.
Right, yeah, and it's not like, oh, if you heard it, we can't do it. It's just,
because we want to do well-known cases, but we want to do the
more obscure ones as well.
Yeah.
And like this, I mean, yeah, he's on the FBI's most wanted, but I've never heard of this.
Me neither.
You know what? Actually, looking on the FBI's top 10 page, I haven't heard of any of these people.
Yeah, me neither. I love an unsolved mystery.
And I kind of like it too.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's 60 years old now, if he is alive.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just residing somewhere as an old man, just riding out the rest of his life. I don't know.
Yeah, could be unibombering it.
You never know. You really don't know.
All right. Well, thank you, Gabe, for an amazing story.
Of
for
course.
2 amazing stories this week.
My pleasure. Oh, and real quick, too, if any Spotify listeners, if you want to watch these awesome streams live, you can join us on twitch.tv/Stefanuchis, Anuchis. If you're following the Instagram, put the link in there for it.
We don't have a scheduled time that we do it every Saturday and
I
Sunday.
feel like we usually do it anytime between 8 and 9, or 8 to 10.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time, yeah.
Maybe as the more that we do this, that'll get a little bit more solidified. But at this point, we're busy.
Life happens. So busy.
But we, our plan is to do it every Saturday and Sunday. So as long as you're following at Clandestine Pod on Instagram or Facebook, you will know when we are going live, and you will know when the audio only podcasts, edited down podcasts, get posted.
Yes.
So. And on our Instagram, we post reference pictures with every episode that goes up, so you can kind of get a visual for the things that we're talking about.
Yes. Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much I was going to enjoy doing this.
The podcast in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing the research on this stuff and talking about it. It's actually it's just I'm excited to do it. I remember at first I was like, I don't know, but now doing it, it's it's just fun to do.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I'm glad to do it with you.
I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
No way. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. We will see you next week.
Next week, that's right.
Yep, and I will be coming with the stories next week.
Olivia's bringing the stories, so you better buckle up, because she,
honestly, I might do a twofer next week for one of them.
It might be a twofer.
Yeah, or it might be a 2-hour-long episode, who knows.
Or that.
But,
let's see.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, everyone have a good night. Thank you guys for the support.
All right.
Until next time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.